Hi everyone, we're recording here at Target Market Scottsdale, the 25th anniversary of this event. I think a few of us have been here a few times before. Delighted to be joined by JoAnne, CEO and founder of Sproutr. Welcome, JoAnne.
Thank you.
And Brian, Head of Innovation for Greenlight Re. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I thought we'd start with something not insurance related, which is a fact you probably don't know about each of us. JoAnne, maybe you'd like to go first.
Okay, so a fact about me that's not insurance related. I have an unfortunate tendency to be pulled over by TSA, fully on things that are completely innocuous. I may be the only person that I hope has been pulled over by TSA on the allegation of traveling under a stolen passport.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can beat that. I guess fun fact-ish about me is, so I went to school and had a degree in finance. Instead of going into the corporate world, became a bartender in South Beach, Miami. And then shortly after that, I started going to the actuarial profession. So I may be the first bartender that became an actuary, but I don't know.
Wow.
Very good. Great. Well, JoAnne really kicked us off in a bad way there because neither Brian or I could top that kind of story. But my small claim to fame is I was outside of Michael Jackson's house the day he died, and despite extensive police questioning, it wasn't exactly.
No questions?
No further questions. Thank you. I've answered enough. So today we're all about getting to a yes in program credibility. So this event is all about launching new innovative products, growing them successfully, and these two are kind of experts in this and have supported a whole range of MGAs and program administrators go from idea to market fit. So I think we should take it right back to the beginning and maybe that first meeting you both have with some of these entrepreneurs. So what's the kind of key things for the first meeting in your view when you see these people?
You want to start or you want me to start?
I think it could be fun to have you start, and then I'll take you back in time. What happens before they get to you?
Very good. We'll do it that way. Just background on Greenlight. So we're a reinsurer. We're based in the Cayman Islands. What our value prop to MGAs is that we provide them both investment capital and underwriting capital in the form of either reinsurance or insurance. And so we're quite interesting to startups as, I guess the way, and we might be able to get into it a bit more, is that I think of MGAs as having to do two fundraisers. One of them is finding underwriting capacity, and the other is finding operating capital. So we're going to kill two birds with one stone offering for these MGAs. And so they come to us quite early on in their life cycle, and they come in a lot of different ways. So we actually get a lot of opportunities to come our way from investors, some from service providers, some from other reinsurers, some from fronting companies. And so I guess the interesting thing is where it comes from is just as interesting as what they do. So if they come from a reinsurer, like there's clearly an underwriting opportunity, and that's where we look for what did that company see in it, why did they think of us? And so I think what we've done a good job of is establishing ourselves as a startup-friendly MGA platform, and not a lot of reinsurers do that. And so when they're coming to us, they're often asking us, how can you help us?
Yeah.
And it's very much a collaborative discussion. And so the MGAs, sometimes they're 2 weeks old, sometimes they're a year old. And what they've done to date is what I do in the first meeting is, where did that entrepreneur come from? What's their background? Why did they come to this crazy idea to start an MGA? And most importantly, and this is what I want to establish right away, is how strategic can we be to that company? So when we make an investment or provide capacity, we want to make sure that we can help out in more ways than just one. And we're just not providing money. So that's what I do in that first meeting, is saying, where do they come from? What do they do that's unique? How can we be interesting? How can we be unique? And how can we make money in two different ways?
That's amazing. So it's quite a daunting conversation for a program administrator to come in, speak to the likes of Brian, who potentially are solving capacity investment. Hence, they would talk to you, JoAnne, before that kind of meeting, and what would your guidance and advice be there?
Absolutely. And so Sproutr is a program and product development and design firm. So we support early day existing MGAs and programs, as well as startups that are looking to become delegated authority or have the pen or become an MGA or MGU. So those conversations, before they get to Brian and his team, similarly, we are looking to understand if the founder has a really compelling, one, if they have conviction in what it is they're looking to bring to market, if they can clearly articulate their rationale or what they're actually looking to solve for. What is their why? Why should I choose you over someone else? Why is your solution relevant? And we're also listening for the credibility of the team itself, right? So does this founder have the backing, the experience to be credible in front of a carrier? If a carrier is going to give them the authority and the pen, their capacity, are they going to be good stewards of that capital? Do they understand the business of insurance? And so we really start at the beginning to understand really what the work ahead of us looks like and how to get them ready for the conversation that they're going to be having in that first conversation. You have one opportunity to make an impression. And I'm sure you've had maybe several conversations with folks that were intriguing, but maybe not yet quite ready, and you've taken another look at them. But that first impression is important, and preparing for that, over-preparing doesn't exist. You can't over-prepare for a first impression.
Yeah, I think it's important it's okay to say you don't know. I see that all the time. Is the MGA will say they think they've got it all figured out and that they know more than I do, and maybe they do, but being too confident and not being humble, that's an important thing, is knowing that this is a long journey. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, and if you think you're the first MGA that's never made a mistake, you're going to be wrong.
Yes.
And so being humble and knowing what you don't know, that's the thing that I intuit when I'm talking to these companies is how confident are they, but how credible are they too? It's just, do they have a reason to know this, or are they projecting something that they read somewhere else on some blog or some podcast or something like that? Yeah.
There's many good podcasts out there. In terms of what credibility looks like when these people are coming to you, I suppose you get all sorts, JoAnne, people coming to you from, I've got an idea, I've worked in this space, I know this, I think there's an opportunity to, I've got a business plan, I've got a rating methodology in mind, I've got a go-to-market plan. What's your kind of advice on where people need to be to in that, and what should they really focus on?
Boy, I think the best quality in a human is curiosity and openness to learn. And so when you are coming in with an idea, if you're just at the idea stage and you need the help, to ask for help is actually a very positive attribute. I think I have a bias towards where to start in the product development journey, and there's no one right way to do this. So that's what makes this so difficult to do, by the way. There's no recipe here. But in my mind, it makes sense from a structural perspective to identify what your business objective is. What are you trying to accomplish? What's the goal? Who are you trying to serve and why? From there, you can then really start articulating, what's my underwriting? Who fits my box? Who doesn't fit my box? Not everything's going to fit, so let's define that. From there, once you're able to really define what it is you're looking to go after and who you're looking to serve, then it's really about executing what are the mechanisms needed to get there. What's the product, the insurance product, and what are the rates needed to get there? So there is a natural sequence of events that happens once you can just decide where you're going to start and build around that. In my mind, it generally starts with what is my end goal, and then reverse engineering.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And Brian, in terms of the Greenlight perspective, how are you stress testing some of this information as it comes to you? What kind of experts do you have involved in the process, and what does the process look like from I've seen this information to I make a decision, yes or no?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of resources out there when you're starting up an MGA, and I like to quiz them and say, what do you know about policy admin systems, which Peter's company does? What do you know about actuarial work? What do you know about product development? And if they actually haven't thought about that, given just the wealth of resources that are out there online, I made it up. I just called the Google test. If I can Google, what do you need to do to start an MGA? And they haven't even done those 5 or 6 things, or at least they don't know which ones are relevant. They're clearly not prepared, not ready. And if they're coming and looking for advice from me, I'll point them in the right direction, but that's okay. Maybe you need 6 months of time on your own or working with your other co-founders determining what you actually need to do to build an MGA. So if you don't understand the basic components of which we all serve a function in the space, that's where I go, okay, we're not the right spot for you right now, but let's touch base in 6 months and figure out maybe you've made some advancements then and maybe you are in a better spot then. So
that's amazing. Look, super quick question for both of you. Do these kind of founders who come to you with MGA ideas, do they have to be from the insurance space?
No, I get really excited when we get to meet founders that have aligning businesses or really see an opportunity where insurance is additive to a problem. I think, not to discredit at all my fellow insurance professionals, but I once made a joke at a former company that if you want to create a creative title for a product, do not ask an insurance product development person. Yeah. It's business income. Like, we're not creative, right? We're very literal. We're not very creative. So if you want innovative, creative concepts and solutions, drawing from the non-insurance community to surface them is a really intriguing way to start building real value for the consumer.
Yeah. One of the things I index on is like a traditional insurance class of business versus this is a brand new product and it's not even solving necessarily an insurance problem, maybe a marketing problem. And that's where I'd say if you don't have insurance experience, but you're solving a completely different problem, we can actually be the ones that help you with the education on the insurance side and figure out, hey, how do you increase sales by offering an insurance product? I'm fine with you not having a ton of insurance experience, but if you're doing real long tail casualty business and you make a mistake now that nobody sees for 5-6 years, we can't afford making 5 years of mistakes before we figure out there's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's the complexity of the product, complexity of the class of business. That's how I look at how much do I put a lot of weight on insurance experience versus, hey, this is a unique product that actually isn't necessarily an insurance problem that's being solved. It's a customer retention, marketing, revenue problem that's being solved for. Yeah. So that's where we get to be creative, which is the fun part here.
Actually, what I get excited about when I see a non-insurance native person looking to launch an insurance product is I get excited that there is proof of concept or the viability of the business case. If you understand how to run a business and you're able to identify an expansion, you already have solved for cash flow. I think what I see is some of the first conversations we have with folks looking to start an MGA is they really don't have an appreciation for the reality of the cash flow problem of creating an MGA and scaling. From zero, if you're starting from zero, it takes a very long time to start scaling your business and start seeing cash flow come in. So if you have a business or an existing agency that's generating revenue for you, you've got this buffer and you have an advantage. You have a time advantage where you've got more time to start building your business before the crush of the financial obligation becomes a real problem for your business.
Yeah, the elephant in the room is that all these companies need capital and funding, and unrealistic expectations is another one that we come across quite a bit is, can you get me live in 3 months? I only have 3 months of money left. Those are challenging ones to start off with. And so really, to the point about having like additional revenue or additional products that the company has, that's a very de-risked position when they're coming to me and I'm saying, hey, does this company have a reason to exist even if they don't have an MGA?
Yeah.
That's a really good starting point for me, that, hey, they see the value in it and they're willing to work towards it to generate that additional revenue, but it's not make or break and everything's riding on this. And that's a problem that we have in the carrier position is if it doesn't work out, we have a problem that we need to clean up. And those are considerations that we have that are obviously not known to entrepreneurs when they're starting off, but that's what's going on in the back of our heads sometimes is, hey, what's the risk of this not working out and what additional risk are we taking that is beyond just the business on its own?
Yeah, it's something we talk about a lot on the age of the MGA is this concept of proving it and getting a little bit of market fit. And you don't necessarily, to your point, need capacity to do that. You can prove it as an agency, you can prove it as whatever vehicle. But the reality is the make or break situation for an MGA is most often getting that capacity, getting that authority. And as we know, success isn't linear, so sometimes these conversations can not go as well as planned and they can be knocked back. So how do you set the course right, JoAnne, after some negative experience?
Oh, this is the hardest. It's the hardest. The reality is there's no guarantee that a program is going to find a home or that is going to find capacity. And it's for a lot of reasons. It could be absolutely nothing reflective of the program specifically. It could be market conditions. It could be a lot of things. So for us, it's about setting expectations about what this journey looks like and having them be prepared emotionally. This is a very emotionally taxing experience. If you talk to anyone that has gone through this, you have epic highs and epic lows in a single conversation. The promise of an LOI that gets pulled back. This is very hard to get started. And to be prepared for that, sometimes those first conversations, you do a lot of work and you invest and they just hit a wall for lots of reasons. But for me, it's just being really candid and prepare them for the fact that good ideas sometimes don't launch.
Sounded a little bit like a Christmas advert. Every program needs a home, right? Brian, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I guess I'm always looking at what progress are they making. And you can have a poor first meeting, and then I try to be as honest and upfront, without hurting feelings, of course, about what I would like to see in the next 4 to 8 weeks. And that's my favorite scenario is, hey, here's what I would like you to do, or here's where I'd become more interested. They do exactly that. Okay, they've got some credibility now behind them. They've done what I expect somebody in their position to do. And if they keep doing it, that's how they win Brian points. Maybe that's something.
Brian points. Yeah. Everyone wants some of those.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So let's talk about a newish term to me for this event, which is product authorship, and what that means.
Yeah. So
looking at you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Product authorship really means being able to sit and drive your narrative. And you might hire someone like Sproutr to help you craft your story and make sure that all of the right appeal, the right tension, and the right articulation is on paper for you to go in front of your carrier with credibility. But what this really means is you, as the owner of your program, need to understand the tenets and the attributes of your program. So we can help you put together the pieces, but the authorship is really having you in the position of having full accountability and control and knowledge and ownership of what your appetite is, how you're going to deliver that to your carrier, how you're going to manage the risk after it is live, and what the relationship looks like after. It's being able to articulate the story in the words that are resonating with you, but are receptive to the carrier. There's a translation that happens here where you can be saying the same words, but not speaking the same language. And that happens here in program development. And so the program authorship really is being able to meaningfully put the tenets of a submission and a business together in a way that your audience, your carrier in your capacity, understand, appreciate, and agree with what your business is.
I love that. That's a fantastic answer. Yeah. Brian, do you want to add on that before we move on to the next?
Yeah, I was going to say, oftentimes an MGA will work with JoAnne or somebody like Sproutr and will come to us and just say, oh, they did this work for us, and they won't know what work was done. They just said, oh, they handled this for us. And to the point, if you're not able to articulate what you've outsourced and how you've outsourced it and why you've outsourced it, that's another big negative to me. And that's a big question when you're starting an MGA is what actually do you own and what do you outsource? Yeah. And if you can't even explain what you outsourced, I got more questions.
Yeah. That's one of the points I was going to end with, and then maybe we can take a question from our packed room of audience. Tech for MGAs, you back a lot of forward-thinking technological MGAs that try and innovate. What are the key things you look for from a tech stack perspective?
Yeah, I like to say tech-enabled because oftentimes, the insurance knowledge and expertise and distribution, in the end, distribution is so key and core to everything, but there has to be a technology enablement factor to pretty much any MGA that we support. And it's because you have to have a better expense base than these massive scaled companies, and then you have to have a unique niche that you're targeting. So if you can't scale your expense base, that's going to be a big challenge. And understanding the tech stack that's being built and why it's being selected, we pay a lot of attention to it, and certainly we have partners that use Loro, and it's an important way to see how these companies are approaching their operation too. Is if they have $1 million and they spend $300K on a policy admin system, is that the best use of capital when you're starting an MGA?
Yes. Answers on a postcard.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, guys. I really appreciate that. I'd love to, if anyone's got a couple of questions in mind, we'd love to do that. And also thanks, the calmness and authority you guys speak on the space is really impressive. So thanks for the time. Any questions? Over here.
Just to your comments on technology, as far as AI adoption, underwriting, automated underwriting, what's your take on that now? Is that something, are you still looking for human in the loop? Are you looking at autonomous underwriting? Where's the line on how you determine when one or the other is acceptable?
I'm just going to say the question, Brian. So
Sure.
Thank you very much. So we're asking about AI in underwriting and where the line is between automation and human involvement. Thank you.
Certainly in the short term, like human in the loop has to be part of it. And I guess it has to be what's the risk of whatever automation that's happening and has a catastrophic effect on the policyholder or claimant or whatnot. And what kind of checks can you do on it? So I'm personally, of course, interested in it, but relying on it today is, not something I'm going to give a ton of credibility on. But if it is a core differentiator as far as long-term expense-based management, I see that as core to most MGAs that are getting started today. But today, I think there's just too many hallucinations that have gone on to you really trust anything full stop. I guess what I'd say is, how are you mitigating that risk of mistakes? Insurance is an area where you can't make a mistake because it's highly regulated. And how do you mitigate the risk of a catastrophic mistake? How are you approaching it? I don't think anybody can categorically say they've gotten rid of it with the AI technology that's out there today, but certainly getting better. I don't know if that's helpful.
JoAnne, anything to add on that? Or?
Nope, I think Brian did an awesome job.
Great question. Thank you. Doug?
Brian, you brought up distribution towards the end. Very happy to hear that because that's often overlooked or thought, well, handling or worse, we're just going to give it to brokers or agents and it's going to be very easy to sell. Curious how that is a strategy. How do you with Sproutr as you're building or helping strategize those programs? How are you helping people think about that? It's very important. Do you have access maybe to the starter package for retail or brokers saying, I know that Lockwood, for instance, is interested in this, or this agency network? How do you all think about that? How are you helping us with that?
Do you want to repeat it?
Thanks very much. Yeah. So the question is about distribution and can you enable or connect any key kind of agency broker partners for your companies that you're working with?
I think maybe taking a step back on that is part of the program design process is evaluating critically determining if the proposed distribution approach supports the program viability. Not all product is intended or going to be effective in a direct-to-consumer or a B2B or a wholesale channel. And so we look at the business proposition from the lens of, is this the distribution approach that is going to help you achieve the business outcome and deliver the underwriting profitability for the carrier? And so we will challenge our clients when it's appropriate, but we find that most of the clients that come in and folks that are coming in already have a pretty strong command of, they know they're solving a specific problem and they know how to solve it. And when there is an opportunity to help provide a network or connection where we could help buoy their short term, like how do we get them where they need to go faster and provide that credibility, we will make the introduction, but we do stop short of the actual facilitation of the parties.
I think it kind of delineated a bit earlier around, is how unique is the product? If it's products that's a standard product distributed by wholesale, that's a lot easier than unique distribution channel through, say, a retailer who has a point of sale checkout distribution strategy. How achievable is that? Is there a relationship already there with kind of a point of sale distribution strategy? How can we verify it? What's the relationship? How do they get there? Did they win an RFP? That's a clear differentiation on distribution. But if you're just going to say, I built this product and I don't know which wholesalers to go to, can you introduce me to the wholesalers? That's clearly not as well thought about as a distribution strategy. But being clear about what the various options are and being able to articulate why that distribution strategy is the thesis to start with, that's what I look for. But in the end, distribution takes the most time and effort getting these products live. If you have a great product but you can't sell it, then been through a few But,
I think that's a story as old as time in any
Yeah.
industry, right? The best product in the world, but if you've got no one to get it out to your customers with, then it's going to fail.
I also think there's a risk. There's an inherent risk of assuming that your go-to-market distribution plan is going to work.
Yeah.
So I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. So in my mind, when I look at this, it's like, all right, assume that great scenario is your go-to-market plan distribution is going to work. Wonderful. What if it does not?
Yeah.
What is your backup? Because you've all of these, you've made the investments, you're in market, you have a carrier and capacity ready, deployed for you. They're waiting for you to be successful. What is your plan B? And to really understand what that looks like before you launch, I think is one of the pieces in my mind of difference between good and great.
Yeah, being able to test it and understand how will I know this is working or how will I know this is not working, and at what point do you say scrap that, move on to the next one? I like to test people on that and just see, hey, have they thought about a plan B? Yeah, to your point, if they don't have a plan B, then
Risk.
again, yeah.
And Brian, to JoAnne's point, how many of your MGAs or people you've met in the market have come to you and said, these are our year one GWP projected figures, and how many of them have actually hit those figures?
Ooh, good question. I think maybe one. Yeah.
There we go. So we all wish we had
so that's what's going on the investor side is how much do you haircut a projection by? That's you have to do it. Everybody does it, and that's the big question.
I can imagine. One last question, and then we'll get to some drinks. Any questions from over here?
Yeah, how much do you haircut a production?
It depends. Depends how confident they are. Yeah.
Oscar, on the investment side, I think we've seen overvaluation of MGAs for somewhat niche models. How do you guys think about it? How do you help people think about what is the actual upside potential, maybe adjacent markets they can go into, so they don't overraise or they don't raise at a valuation that they'll never actually be able to sell it for?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question. So the question is around the overvaluation of MGAs, or at least the danger of doing that, and what that then means for the business going forward.
Yeah. Another question I like to drill into is how much capital are they raising and what are they trying to do with that? So capital management for startups is a big issue and a big problem. I don't want to say not a big problem, but it's if they want to raise $10 million and they want to achieve milestones that they won't actually move the needle on improving their valuation profile. Now they've just created a challenge for themselves. And so understanding the trade-offs and return of investment on the capital that they're using, I try to say, do you actually need that much? You should use as little as possible. How can you prove this out more before going out into investors? Because we've seen enough cap tables get to a spot where the next investor is going to say, I'm not sure how it goes up from here. My best scenario is I'm like 10% higher than the current valuation. So capital management, capital efficiency it's very difficult, but it's more about the framework and how you think about it. That's what kind of I focus on. And then just, comps in the market too, like how big is this product? How big is this class of business? It has to be a starting point of, how big can this product be? And there's just heuristics that we have to use to think about where are they at relative to that maturity scale.
And so we would look at it from the perspective of we can't control or dictate what that multiple looks like at the end of the day, but what we can do together is we can say, listen, what is differentiated is defensible.
Yeah.
And so if you are niche-y and sticky and you have something that is truly unique and differentiated, that adds enterprise value. That makes you very interesting to someone at some point. And so for us, our job collectively is to look, how do we help you do that? How do you help yourself do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the solve. So you are attractive regardless of what the condition looks like.
Do you spend any time, JoAnne, with your early founders, getting them to, not say understand, but explain the realities of what an MGA balance sheet really looks like and what a fair evaluation really looks like, and some of that? Is that an obstacle?
It is part of the work, and it can be an obstacle, and sometimes it's a rather deflating conversation. Sometimes when, frankly, to achieve scale is really required. It is, right? From an economic, you can have a very comfortable lifestyle business as an MGA, and that if that's your end game, you can have a very comfortable life. But the economics, sometimes doing as a retail and having commission-based revenue can actually be more attractive. So you really have to look at what this looks like and spreadsheet out real numbers.
Absolutely. Amazing. Look, we're all available tomorrow at the event. We're available tonight for drinks. For people watching this on LinkedIn or whatever other resource, reach out to us via that method. Thanks everyone for being here in person. Have many drinks and a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.